Okay, so we're going to begin making our memory game. So first of all, we want to set up the stage. So we go to File, New, Action Script 3. Now we're going to, with this, we're going to make the stage a bit bigger. So go to Modify, Document, make the width 1000 and the height 400. Frame rate 12. Okay, double click on the hand to center the stage. So check back to my original. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the movie clips in the library. We're going to create one called Light and one called Light Colors. If I double click on my original here, so I've just used this drawing of a cat. A little bit, obviously nothing to do with the light, but I just thought I'd make the colour of its eyes change. Now obviously you need to think about how you're going to make this game link into your adventure game. Well, that's a design decision. What I'm going to do is reuse my assets I've already created here. So I'm just going to copy those over to mine here. Okay, so what we need to do is in the library, we've got an empty library at the moment. Click on the new symbol button down here. Make sure you select movie clip. We'll call it Light, capital L. Okay, so we're now inside the movie clip, you can see here. I'm just going to paste the assets. I brought across here. I'll explain these to you in a moment. So we're creating 5 new layers inside this movie clip. So I'll click on the new layer button 5 times. I'm just going to paste. I'm going to explain what these are in a moment. Okay, so if we look at my original here, we've got the 5 layers. Top's called labels, then script, then cat, cat's eye, cat's eyelid, and cat's eyes. So I'll just rename these. Label, script. So obviously the label layer is where the frame labels go. The script is where there's a simple stop action is going to go on there. We've got the eyelids, which I'll explain in a minute. The eyes and the cat. Okay. Cat on top, get the order right. So cat first, then the lids, then the eyes. Okay, so I need to get that's in the wrong layer. Sorry, I'm just going to have to shuffle these around in the wrong place. Okay, so we've got the cat's head on the cat layer. We've got the eyes on the eye layer. What we need to do now is the script layer, we insert another frame. Labels layer, we insert another keyframe. Right click, insert frame. Right click, insert keyframe. Okay, on the cat layer, we insert another frame. And eyelids, another frame. Cat size, another frame. Yeah, okay. So that's set up. Now on the eyelids layer, on this first frame here, we need an eyelid, which is basically so when the eyes flash. There's a state when the eyes obviously aren't flashing, is when the eyelids are visible. So I'll go back to my original and just copy across the eyelids, paste them onto there. Just make sure go to edit, paste in place. It would be a good idea to make sure they, for some reason, it's not pasted in the right place. See if I can lock these, move those over. There we go. Okay, so I hope that wasn't that was reasonably understandable and straightforward. So we've got our 5 layers. So if you just create a simple drawing of a cat, if we might as well stick with the same thing, a simple drawing of a cat on the cat layer, then some simple eyelids here, and then eyes here. Now these eyes, if I just hide, now these show and hide buttons here and the locking buttons are very useful when you're sort of moving between layers and editing layers separately. Now on this eyes layer, we've got a well, I've actually already turned it into a movie clip, but on here you need to draw your eyes, then you need to turn the eyes into a movie clip, which is called light colors. I'm sticking with this. This is unusual naming, I know, but I'm sticking with this so I don't have to alter the action script to fit with this, because the original I used was slightly different. It used lights rather than the cat. So I've stuck with the original naming. That's why I've got these odd names. So light colors here. So these eyes are a movie clip. If we double click on this light colors movie clip now inside here we've got the different colored eyes. Okay, so very simply all we need to do is you insert a keyframe, just select the irises of the eyes, choose a new color and change the color of the irises on each one until you've got 5 different colored sets of eyes. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. So if we go back next to scene 1, so again you'll see on scene 1 at the moment there's nothing, it's completely empty, because everything, all the assets are inside these movie clips here, these 2 movie clips. Okay, go back inside the light movie clip, just show these layers. Okay, so now we just need to look at the label layer. Now if we look at the first keyframe here and go to the properties panel, if I click on this first keyframe here, we need an on label, sorry, an off label should I say. So if we go to the properties panel with that frame selected and type in off, just refer back to my original. Okay, you can see there. And then if we go to the second keyframe and label that on. Okay, so that's just as a term, and it switches between these two to turn to open and close the eyes. The script layer here, just to stop it, as we know from before, if we need to put a stop action on here, otherwise it would just loop continuously between these 2 frames. So we click on this first frame here and we can actually type in a stop, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon, blue syntax check, so that's okay. So just a simple stop action on there. Okay, now another thing we need to do, if we just go back to the cat's eyes, now remember we turn these into a movie clip, which I know this is a bit odd because I've called them cat's eyes on the label here, but the name of the movie clip is actually light colors. Okay, we also need to give this movie clip an instance name. So if we go to properties here you need to give it the instance name light colors. Now that is just because this is a kind of a coding convention here. The first letter is actually not capitalized, so lowercase l, and then the first letter of colors is capital C. Okay. So just make sure we name that. Again, using these show hide buttons, locking layers to get it separate layers can be very useful. So I'll just show the cat and the cat eyelids again, bring those back. I just need to hide those so I could get to the cat eyes. So we've named that. Now the other thing we need to do, sorry, I've gone out of the library. If we go back to the library, you see here we've got the light movie clip here. Okay, now we need to create what's called ActionScript linkage for that, so ActionScript knows it's there and can use it. So if I go back to my demo, so if we click on, if we right click on this light movie clip here, select properties, and you'll see here all we need to do to link it for ActionScript is tick the export for ActionScript box. It creates a class and a base class there, which basically means ActionScript is able to now find it and use it. So we OK that. It will ask you that does it want you to create, do you want it to create a path? So you say yes, path, so ActionScript can find it. Okay, now if you haven't already, we just need to name and save the movie. Memory Game 2. You see how I mean no spaces and capitalized. In your Memory Game 2 folder there. Okay, now we come now, so we've created all the assets. Now we come to the point where we actually create the ActionScript file. Now the way Flash works now is it used to, all the ActionScript was integrated as part of the same file. Now it's kept as a separate, a completely separate file, which is attached to the movie. So to create that, we go to File, New. Okay, now you see here, this is where we went to create the movie ActionScript through here. To create the script file, we've got a file called ActionScript file. Okay, double click on that. So we've got our empty script file here. Now we're going to give this exactly the same name. So File, Save As, Memory Game 2. Exactly the same. Make sure that goes in the same folder, Memory Game 2 folder. Okay, now what we need to do is go back to the main memory game itself, the flash file, and you see it on the properties panel here where it says class. We type in the name of that ActionScript file, so Memory Game 2. And just press enter to make sure that's registered. Okay, and then it knows where to look. Okay. We can also check here in the ActionScript file. You see what it says target here. The target for the script is our Memory Game 2 flash file, which we can see there. So it knows what it's attached to. Okay, so everything's saved now in the same folder. So now we turn to the script. Okay, now I'm not expecting you to type this script from scratch, because you've got to be, to create a game like this, even a simple game, you really have to be a programmer, an experienced programmer. So obviously we're just new to ActionScript, so we're going to use this as an opportunity to look at some slightly more complex scripting, and just have a look so we get an idea and sort of increase our familiarity with it. There are also some elements of the script we can alter, which we'll look at too. Okay, so as far as the ActionScript goes, I've put the ActionScript file on Moodle, okay, in the Unit 76 resources folder, which is called Memory Game Test. Sorry, Memory Game 2, should I say. I've also put the MP3 files that we're going to need for the when you click on the correct sequence of colours. So we've got five of those notes, 1 to 5. So you'll need to download those into your Memory Game 2 folder. And then if you open up the Memory Game 2 ActionScript file, you will see, so I'll just switch back to that. I'm just going to copy this over, select the whole thing. You will see, no, that's not worked. Let me do that again. Trying to paste it into the wrong place. That's probably not a good idea. So that's now, you should be seeing this script. Okay, so now we have the script in place. We need to make a few changes. First of all, we have called our two files, the flash file and the ActionScript file, Memory Game 2. Now if we look in the script here, we have, so we'll just make these changes first of all, and then we'll look at what, just think about what each piece of script does. We'll look here where it names the file it's referring to. It's called Memory Game here. So we just put a 2 at the end of that, so we know it knows where to look. And again, there's just a second line of code that mentions the game, Memory Game, so we add a 2 to that. Okay. Now, if we test the game, so if you press Control and Enter, and this will test the game. Let me just save that, but before you do that, save, make sure you save. If you see a little asterisk next to the file name, it means it's not, it needs saving. So we save and then test, Control and Enter. Now you'll see that we have the beginnings of our game. There's a few problems with it. All the cats are bunched up too close together, and the text is not in the correct place. So the first thing we need to do is spread out these cats, this array of cats. So we go down to see where it says make lights. Now again, it's when you see lights, think cats. Okay, so it should be make cats. We have this bit here that refers to the position of them. Yeah. Now this is a position along the x-axis. Now if you remember, that's along the horizontal axis, isn't it? Yeah. At the moment, there is a space of 75 and then a space of 100 between each cat. Now that's not enough of a space at the moment, so I'm going to increase that to 175, and we should see that the cats will be more spaced out. So if we just save that, test again. Sorry, I put that the wrong way. It should be, the first figure is 175, so space for 175 between the cats, and then an initial space of, if we try 75 first of all. So we save and test, there we go. So you see that the cats are nicely spaced out now, but they're a bit too far over to the left. Now like I said, this initial space before the first cat is 75 pixels. If we increase that space, it'll have the effect of basically shifting the whole block of cats to the right. So I'm going to estimate that we probably need maybe a space of about 125. Let's try that. And that should have the effect of shunting them to the right. Yeah, so that's not bad. That's pretty central now. We've got the cats in a fairly central position. I'll just test that again. Okay, now what I just noticed when we were testing that was that it wasn't showing the cat's eyes. Now I just looked at the frames here, and I think initially, if you go inside the light movie clip, and inside there on the eyelids layer, you will see the first keyframe, eyelids closed. Second keyframe, I think it was still set as eyelids closed. There were two keyframes with eyelids closed in. What you need to do is just right click on this second frame here and select insert blank keyframe. So we just make sure that we've got one eyelids closed, eyelids open. Okay, and that I've just tested it and that solved the problem. So if you test the game again now, so press Control and Enter. Yeah, see when it tests the eyes open now. So if we click there, okay, and then we can actually start to play the game now. Now the thing that's missing now, the problem now, is the text is in the wrong place. So again, this is a good opportunity to look at the script and how we can edit the script. Now, if you remember, these bits in grey here are not part of the script. Yeah, these bits. These are just a simple explanation of what the script does. So if we go scroll down here, now there's a section here to do with text formatting. Okay. Now this first bit is the format of the text. So the font is Arial, size is 24, and it's centered inside the text box. Now again, that's something we can play around with if we want. We can change the formatting of the text. I'm just off the top of my head, I'm going to try, I'm not sure if there's a stencil font in here, but we'll give it a try. So if I change the font, yeah, you'll see that the font has changed there to a stencil style. Okay, I will put it back, I think it was Arial, so I'll just put it back to Arial for now. You can change the size of it as well there, make it bigger. Now this is the bit we're interested in. This is to do with the positioning of the text. Now the upper text field is the one that refers to, if I remember correctly, tells you to try again, or how many you've got right. Now if you see here, so the object is text message, it creates a new text field, and then we can create the width here. Now if you remember, the width of the stage that we created at the beginning was 1000, so I'm actually going to set the width of the text box to 1000, the same size as the stage, because it will still center the text in the middle of that box even though it's quite big. So that's 1000. The Y position of the upper text field is 110. Now that's quite I want to raise that up a bit. Okay, so to raise that up a bit, I'm going to put that to say 50. Put it higher up, and the same I want to lower. So this is the lower text field. I'm going to change the width of the text box to 1000 again. I'm going to lower that down, so I'm going to increase that to about 300. So let's just see. So if we test, yeah, and you see they're starting to move into the correct position now. I think we could still do with this upper text box a bit higher up. So I didn't save it. Just make sure you always save the action script file before you test. Quick Control S and then Control Enter to test. Yeah, you see that's lifted it up a bit higher now, out of the way. So that's reasonably. I think we can lower this lower field down a bit. Now I think just thinking about it, this is a little bit odd because as you notice, the lower text field actually has a higher Y value than the upper text field. That is because the y-axis actually goes from minus to 0 to plus. So it actually increases in value as it gets lower, which actually contradicts how you normally think of it when you think of the y-axis, where the value gets higher, the number value gets higher as you go up the y-axis. Okay, now just to look at the script and other areas of the script, if you look down from the text field bits that we've just altered, you can see it says load sounds here, and this is where it loads in the MP3 files that are notes named note 1 to 5. Well, you'll see here, again, this is using an array, so it's kind of randomly selecting which sound it plays. We have here, you see note, so that was the name of the file, plus I, which means plus any number 1 to 5, and then the format was MP3, wasn't it? So that refers to those 5 MP3 files we've got in the folder, and it just loads them in randomly. We've looked at this before. We use this to change the position of the lights. Now the lights, again, think cat's heads. This again makes the lights and then plays them in a random sequence again. This is where, now as you get through to increase difficulty, it adds 1 to the sequence. So each time it starts again, it adds another sound, doesn't it, to the sequence. You see math random, this refers to this random sequence. Text here, now these are the 2 pieces of text. We've got one at the top which says watch and listen, so simple instructions, and then a score box at the bottom which says sequence length, and again this, so it says plus play order length, so each time a new sequence plays, it adds sequence length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as you progress through the game. Okay, so I was just referring to the text there. Now what we can do, this is another piece of text script we can alter. So we could change, say, watch and listen. So we just test, show. So we've got watch and listen at the top, and then sequence length here. So we can change those pieces of text if we want. So we could change watch and listen to concentrate. Again, you can adapt these to fit with your game. Sequence length. Add a game level. Okay, so if we test, you see that that's automatically altered that bit. Okay, so that's the end of the memory game tutorial. So hopefully if you test your game now, just have a final test, it should work. You can play through the game. Okay.